There's just something so satisfying about working on your own machine, right? Today, we're going to tackle what is probably the single most important job any rider can do themselves, the engine oil change. And we're not just winging it. We're going to do it by the book, using the official 1984 Yamaha service manual as our guide. So let's dive right in. So what are we working on? The legendary Yamaha FJ1100. And to keep this classic bike running just as strong as it did back in the day, there is no job more vital than a scheduled oil change. This isn't just about topping up a fluid, this is the lifeblood of your engine. It lubricates, it cleans, and it cools the heart of your bike. And today, we're going to do it perfectly, straight from the factory's playbook.
All right, first things first. Before we even think about picking up a wrench, we've got to answer two really important questions. Why is this job so absolutely critical? And when, exactly, does Yamaha say it needs to get done?
I mean, the manual says it best, right? This isn't just about keeping the bike from breaking down. It's about getting maximum performance. Think about it. Over time, that oil just gets tired. It gets contaminated with tiny metal particles, it loses its ability to lubricate properly, and it doesn't pull heat away from critical components nearly as well. Fresh oil is like hitting the reset button for your engine's health and power. And Yamaha's schedule is super specific for a good reason. Now, that first oil change at 600 miles, that is the big one. No, seriously. That one is designed to flush out all the little bits and pieces left over from the engine's initial break-in period. After that, you get into a nice, regular rhythm of every 4,400 miles. Sticking to this schedule is probably the single best thing you can do for the life of your engine. Okay, let's talk prep. Spending just a few minutes getting all your tools together is going to make this whole job a breeze. Trust me, having everything you need laid out and ready to go is the difference between a quick, clean job and, well, a total mess. So here's what you're going to need. You've got the obvious stuff, right? The oil, the new filter. But look at what the manual calls out. A new O-ring for the filter cover and a new washer for the drain plug. Don't skip these. They're like cheap insurance against annoying leaks. And look, I'm not kidding about this last one. You absolutely need a torque wrench. We'll see why in a minute, but it is the key to not making a very, very expensive mistake. Okay, so what kind of oil should you grab? Well, the manual makes it simple. It all depends on the temperature you're riding in. For most of us, in conditions above 40 degrees Fahrenheit, you'll want an SAE 20W40. If you're doing some cold weather riding, you'll want to switch to a 10W30. Using the right oil weight, or viscosity, is absolutely crucial for proper engine protection. All right, this next number? Burn it into your brain. When you're changing both the oil and the filter, the manual says you need exactly 3.35 liters. Don't just eyeball it. Measuring this out is the only way to make sure you get the oil level perfect. Okay, we've got our gear, we've got our supplies, it's time to get our hands dirty. First up, we gotta get all that old, used-up oil out of the engine. First up, start the engine and let it run for just a few minutes. You want the oil to be warm, not scorching hot. This makes it flow out much easier and helps carry all that suspended gunk out with it. Once it's warm, slide your drain pan underneath, pop off the lower cowling to get access, and then, this is important, take off the oil filler cap on top. This lets air in and helps the oil drain out smoothly. And there it is. The manual is pointing us right to our target, the drain plug right at the bottom of the engine. Use your socket to get it started, but then try to unscrew it the rest of the way by hand. It's a lot easier than fishing it out of a pan of hot oil later. Now, just be patient. Let it drain until it's just a slow drip. Okay, everybody, listen up. This is probably the most important number in this entire process. When you put that drain plug back in, it has to be tightened to exactly 43 Newton meters. If it's too loose, it'll leak. But if it's too tight, and this is way worse, you can strip the threads right out of the aluminum oil pan. That turns a 15-minute job into a massive headache. This is why you need that torque wrench. All right, with all that old, grimy oil out, we can move on to the second part of this operation, swapping out the old oil filter for a new one. This little guy is what traps all the bad stuff floating around in your engine. This part's pretty simple, actually. You'll see a small drain bolt on the filter housing. Take that out first to let the trapped oil escape. Then you'll remove that big central bolt that holds the whole thing on. After that, the cover just pulls right off, and you can grab the old filter element, the spring, and the washer that are inside. And this diagram right here, this is your best friend. Seriously, it shows you exactly how everything goes back together, and in what order. You've got the main bolt, the spring, the washer, your new filter, and the cover with its new O-ring. Go ahead, Take a mental picture of this. It's that important. So to put it all back together, we're basically just doing that in reverse, but with our shiny new parts. Put the new O-ring into that little groove on the cover, slide your new filter into the engine, put the spring and washer back into cover, and then carefully line the cover up. The manual makes a point to say, make sure that O-ring is sitting perfectly flat so it doesn't get pinched and cause a leak. And here we go, our second mission-critical number. The oil filter bolt gets tightened to only 15 Newton meters. Now, notice how much lighter that is than the drain plug, right? It is so easy to over-tighten this bolt and crack the whole filter housing. So one more time, that torque wrench isn't a suggestion, it is absolutely essential. All right, we are in the home stretch now. The hard part is over. The old oil is out, the new filter is in, and now we get to the really satisfying part, filling her up with fresh, clean oil. So let's just run down the final checklist. First, double check that your dream plug is in with its new washer and torqued to 43 Newton meters. Perfect. Now, grab your funnel and slowly pour in that pre-measured 3.35 liters of fresh oil. Screw the filler cap on nice and snug, and then put your lower cowling back on. But wait, we're not quite done yet. The job isn't over until we've checked our work. So fire up the engine and let it idle for just a minute or two. All you're doing right now is looking for leaks. Check around the drain plug, check around the filter cover. If you see even a single drop, shut it down immediately. If everything is bone dry, go ahead and kill the engine and just let it sit for a few minutes for the oil to settle back down. Okay, for this last check, this is really important. The bike has to be level, not on its side stand. If you have a center stand, use it. Now, look for that little round window on the side of the engine. That's your sight glass. The oil level should be sitting right there between the upper and lower marks. If you're in that zone, congratulations, you've nailed it. And that's it. You're done. Go ahead and take a step back. You just performed the single most important piece of maintenance you can possibly do for your motorcycle, and you did it exactly the way the factory intended. That engine is happy, it's protected, and it's ready to ride. You know, once you realize the factory manual makes a job like this feel totally manageable, it gives you the confidence to tackle more. You've just conquered the most essential task there is. So the only real question left is, what are you going to do next?